Alright, now before I tell you about clip envelopes, I want to show you a technique that is pretty important to sample-based workflow. And that's the ability to take static loops and create new arrangements out of them by playing them with different start positions. This is what I mean. I'll just keep this one track for now, call it sample 1, and then I'll create a new track, rename it, call it sample 2, and then I'll copy the break 1 clip over to the second track as well. Now as it stands, if I just play these two samples back with one another at the same time, it's not very exciting. However, if I change the start time of one of these copies, say I move it forward a bit, and then play these samples next to one another again, you'll now start to hear different arrangement possibilities emerge because of the way the start settings are configured. Another way to have fun with this is to create little polyrhythms, and by that I mean changing the timing of one loop against the timing of another. I'll bring this start time back to its original position, but I'm only going to have this loop go through 3 quarter notes rather than the full bar. So this basically means I have a loop with one time signature going over a different loop with a different time signature, and that's an easy and interesting way to create polyrhythms. Listen to what I mean. Again, there are some potentially good parts to take out of that, although most of it sounded like a jumbled mess. If you record the output of those two loops playing off of one another onto another audio track, and then you go back through and scan through the result, the chances are very high that you'll find something that you actually really like and want to work with. This works even better when you have one drum loop with no melodic parts played against another loop that does have a melodic part. That way the melodies don't clash so much with one another, but you still create interesting polyrhythmic possibilities by playing one drum part with an odd time signature against a melodic part with a straightforward time signature like 4/4. So anyway, that's a great technique to keep in mind to easily change up a track and give you some ideas for a new arrangement, and all you have to do is play the same clip next to itself on a couple different tracks and change up the looping settings as well as the play start position. Anyway, I'll delete this new track that I created and let's go back to our first breakbeat here. And let's go on to take a look at the clip envelope feature. In order to access clip envelopes, just click on your little E button right here in the clip view, and your clip envelope view will appear right here. I'll drag out the loop so that it plays all the way through again. Now the basic idea behind clip envelopes is that you can change certain features of the clip as well as devices that are on that clip's track. And furthermore, you're changing these features over time. That is, you're modulating parameters while the clip plays back. The nice thing about this is that when you input this automation data into the clip, it's stored with the clip rather than being stored in the arrange view over here where you actually write out your tracks. This means that your clips become a more modular kind of thing, and when you're trading musical ideas between yourself and another producer, for instance, you can give them modulation data that's already embedded within the clip, and you don't have to send them a whole live set with a bunch of modulation data drawn in the arrangement view. In this way, a clip represents a section of a song rather than just a little musical loop. So for instance, if I come down here to the clip envelope view, you can see that we have two text drop-down boxes here. The top one simply selects the clip itself or one of the devices on the track. We don't have any devices loaded onto the track yet, but I'll show you how to do that in a second. The second drop-down box shows specific parameters that are related to the device that you chose in the top drop-down. Since we've chosen to modify the clip itself, we have clip-specific properties here, such as volume and transposition. For instance, say I wanted to draw in different volume modulation in this loop. All I have to do is go in and create breakpoints in this envelope line right here and draw in the modulation. The breakpoint line here, represented by this red line, starts at the default value. The default value of volume is 100%. So if I want to drop the volume of specific hits in this loop, it's as simple as double-clicking on the line up here and then drawing in shapes of automation. So say I want to drop the volume all the way down on this part of the loop, and say I also want to drop out a couple hits right here. Again, it's as simple as just double-clicking and making breakpoints on this envelope line and dragging them around. Let's take a look at what we have so far. So just like that, we have a few custom volume drops built into our loop. If you don't like your envelope and you want to get rid of it completely, just right-click on any one of these breakpoints and select Clear Envelope. Let's come down and try the same thing with transposition, just so you can see what I'm talking about. Here's the default line, and each of these little rectangular spaces right here represents one semitone of change to the transposition parameter. So for instance, say I wanted to transpose this particular hit of my loop up 2 semitones. It's again as simple as just double-clicking and drawing in your modulation shape. So in this way you can create some exciting and dynamic tuning changes throughout your loop's playback, again just by modifying the transposition envelope here. I'll get rid of this envelope, and then we'll move on to changing device parameters. I'm sure you won't be surprised to find out that it works exactly the same way. If I want to drag an audio effect onto the track, say an auto filter, I'll bring the frequency all the way up by default, come back into my breakbeat here, and now I can select auto filter in my device chooser, and then frequency is the one I want to modify. If I play back the breakbeat, it plays back at the default frequency. Now say I want to drop the frequency over a few of these hits. Again, it's as simple as double-clicking and creating your envelope. And of course you can do this with all the parameters that are available on all of the devices, as well as the clip itself. So in this way you can have many different clip envelopes going at the same time, modulating parameters in drastically different ways, and animating your loop and making it progress in exactly the way you'd like it to.